Well, hello, my friend. My name is Joe Bakhmutsky. I'm the founder of Power to Be Happy and the author of this book, Finding Hope in Times of Uncertainty, a guide to thriving in a challenging world of today. And listen, if you're ready for something new in your life, if you're ready to take on this new challenge, and you want to be excited for something that you think you can really contribute and give and let's just like throw yourself into, but you don't know what that is. I think it's just such a vital area to explore. I'm just going to share my thoughts with you on this because it's just such an area that I feel so passionate about, because it gives you just a different dimension. It just gives you a different quality of life. You know, you're able to express yourself in just such a unique way, in a way that is really consistent to your values and to your way of life. And not only that, but it's your values and your way of life, the way that they are right now. And I think that's so critical. There's a recognizing that you change. You know, and the things that you wanted, 10 years ago are different from the things that you wanted a year ago. And they're also different from the things that you want now. And I think that's crucial to realize. I mean, we're going to really put on that lens of time and what that does and the importance of today. Because sometimes we think, we make plans for the big future, but we are so not great at predicting what it's going to turn like. And that's why the three things that I want to talk to you about today, about really choosing your next challenge and going with that sense of purpose and finding something that you're really passionate about, something where you can really give the best of yourself. It all has to come from the present moment. It all has to come from this, thinking about what's right for me now. Because that's going to be so crucial. Not planning too far ahead, because we don't know how things might turn out. And not also basing that on what was life like before, but also choosing what do you feel like doing today. It's a bit like, I feel, explorers mindset. If you're going out searching for treasure or searching for new lands, right? It's an exploration. You're going out there. You've set yourself a target, an objective, a dream. You're gonna discover new land. You're gonna find just new civilizations. That's what you're about doing. So it doesn't mean you're going to have all the answers to start something new. You start something new and then you get the answers as you go along. And then I think it's critical for the first thing is the first point I wanna really talk about is making it personal. Whatever challenge that you choose to take on in your life, whatever passion you kind of decide to really throw yourself into, whatever cause you want to be a part of, all of that really comes from something. In order for it to be something that's really meaningful, it needs to be personal. I really believe that has to be something that you truly believe in, that you can get behind in the most expressive way. And that's gonna be real for you. That's gonna be meaningful. And that means it really has to be something that you can connect with. You can really kind of affiliate yourself with. It's something that maybe you've experienced yourself. Something that's really just been transformative in some way for you. Maybe traumatic, maybe difficult, maybe tough. But that's part of life. I know that you're here because you've been through things. So we don't have to have, you and me, we don't have to have this pretense that life's perfect, because we know it's not. We know that life is hard sometimes. And, and it's up to us to use that. Use that to make the world better, make your world better as well. And it's you taking that, whatever maybe is being something that really has affected you in a real personal way. Maybe you struggle with something. Maybe that's physical, emotional, something that mental. And maybe you want to make a difference around that in some way. It doesn't have to be directly related to that, but it might be something that makes you want to support an organization that's doing some great work. It might be starting a project that you really feel like you got something to share, like maybe writing a book. Maybe just starting a social media account where you're going to share your thoughts in a particular area or in a particular place. Maybe that's something that you do in your work that you can really kind of add an extra dimension. Or maybe you can do something that you really feel excited about because it's something that you know deeply, something that you know intimately, and you feel that other people could maybe benefit from as well. Or maybe it's something you can use your creative powers. But I think it has to be real to you. That's the place where you begin, my friend. That's where you gotta go. There's no other way. We have to go to the place where it's most personal, first and foremost. If it's not personal, well, what happens? What happens is that you're not gonna stick with it. Like things are just not gonna get done. You're not gonna bother through with it. You might start, you might be excited, you might put in a lot of time, but it's just after a while, it's just gonna feel like a drag. You're just gonna feel like you're kind of like forcing yourself into it. That never works. That's why it's always so much better to really just commit to something that is gonna be personal and real to you. Because remember, no one knows you the way that you know yourself. And that, I believe, is absolutely crucial. So spend some time. Maybe, like I always like to just write in my journal, as part of my kind of morning routine. I get to sit down after I do my exercise and I just write things. And sometimes I have my prompts that I kind of use to put myself in a place where I can reflect on things and plan for the day but I also just sometimes just give myself space to just write some thoughts down without filtering. Go, like what is it that I want to be doing right now? Or I pick a topic is like, what is something that it would get me really excited? And I just like start writing. I'll tell you, give that a shot because sometimes you'll be surprised with the things that come out. Because you're not doing any filtering, right? It's just writing stuff down. It doesn't mean you're going to do them. It doesn't mean you're going to commit to it. But it means you're just going to give yourself freedom to just think about it and seriously consider something that might be meaningful to you and to your way of life. The second thing now, I really want to talk to you. And I think the more I think about it lately, like just the more personal this idea becomes. I've really just thought about it so much and it makes perfect sense to me. And that's something I really want to share with you because I think it's such we don't get it enough. In our world today, we get this whole thing where people are telling you whether you're a young person, whether you're an older person, whether you're established, whether you're starting out. People tell you this thing whenever especially when you're about to take on a new challenge. There's this whole, even if people don't say that, there's this whole like kind of perception that you gotta be realistic. That you gotta be in a place where, you kind of weigh things carefully up, see if it's gonna work, see if it's gonna be practical, see if it's gonna be like a right fit, like how's it gonna fit in with your time and all of your commitments. You know what? Screw that. That's not real. Like that, just throw that away to the bin. What I'm gonna tell you is the complete opposite. This flies totally in the face of this advice. Don't be practical. Don't be realistic. Because guess what? If you're realistic, nothing in the world is going to get done. Nothing at all. That's why we live in a world where we've been able to build our civilizations. That's why we have science. That's why we have arts. That's why we've got medicine. That's why we've got vaccines, right? We live in this incredible world which we've built through our society, that we have mastered precisely because this whole idea of being realistic and just practical went out the window. You know, if we all were realistic, we'd still be sitting in a cave somewhere. You know, we wouldn't even have fire. That's how things would be. You know, we can't be realistic. You got to be able to dream and wonder what's possible. You know, that's part of the fun. That's part of the challenge. That's part of the commitment. It's committing to the dream that you have. A dream, just a vision for yourself, a vision for how you might be, and being excited about it. Who cares if it's not real? You know, if you start with something, you're gonna make it as real as you can be. And sometimes that takes time. And sometimes that takes, like, I know for me, things take time. And nothing really works out the first time, and you have to keep going at it and just try things, and you get really frustrated. But then something starts to work just a little bit, and then something else does. And you can only sustain that, I feel. Well, first of all, we talked about when it's personal, but also when you you have this big dream. It's something that's bigger than you. This is bigger than you. It's not realistic. It's just, it's a dream. It's your vision of how things could be. It's like, you know, but if you're doing something about it, then you're not daydreaming. Then it's real. And then you're just putting it into play in your life in a way that really works for you. And the third thing that I would really want to talk about right now is, again, I feel that this is something that, if there's one thing that I am grateful for, is being able to commit to things and start in another place. I think that is such an underrated thing. You know, we will live in this culture where you always gotta have these big plans, right? When you look at any organization that's out there doing something, when you look at, you know, at governments, when you look at whatever else happens, you know, everyone's talking about these strategic plans. Everyone is talking about these, you know, big visions for the extent, you know, years into the future, right? And all of this kind of structure and all of this kind of veneer that goes around it. And it's just not real. I think it's just, it puts an enormous amount of pressure. It makes you overthink things. It makes you wonder about whether it's really possible. I think the important thing is to have something that's really is personal to you on some deep level. It's also important to just forget whether that's realistic or practical and decide just to do it for the hell of it. And the third thing is to just begin. Start in one place, start where you are. And you'll figure out a way. I can't tell you the amount of things, well, pretty much everything I have in my life, I feel, on a personal level, on professional level, in terms of emotional, in terms of, you know, relationships and people, it never started from some big idea, from some grand scheme that I had laid out. It started out with something, and then it just kind of picked up pace, and it's turned to something else, something I've never even expected, you know? So I've never even considered for a moment. It just kind of grew on from there. One thing led to another, and then when you kind of look back and go, oh, really? That's kind of how it happened? You know, like, think of maybe someone who's really important you've met in your life, maybe your best friend, maybe your partner, right? It's how did you meet them? It probably started as just something that maybe happened by accident, maybe could never even have happened. But then it just, maybe you connected in some way, something happened, and eventually it's turned into something that you really treasure in your life right now. So whatever you start, that's going to change 100%. But it's going to really fulfill you and it's going to bring joy into your life when you begin. So I really hope that you can really give yourself the time, because I feel that's what's important, is first of all to find something that is really personal to you. Find something, whether that's an idea or a feeling or a situation that maybe you've experienced or maybe it has affected you in some way, and decide, what is it, something I can do to make a difference in my own way? What are some of the ways that I can really feel like, I'm being creative and I'm being interesting and life is gonna just be fun for me? What is it that I can actually do? The second thing is, I would urge you, absolutely urge you with everything that I have, is to not consider the practical aspects of it, in the sense of, obviously you want to be safe, but not think, well, is this thing going to work out? What will other people think? Will other people make fun of me? Probably they will. Well, other people will always judge you. That's, I think, a reality of life. But why not then have them judge you for who you truly are in your life? I think that is a gift. To choose to go, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. And the third thing is, not only you're going to do it, you're going to start now. You're going to start with something and not have it be perfect, not start in something that you're thinking that it's going to be something great, but start with something that's going to be real to you, that is going to change. For me, when I started my Simplify Cancer podcast, I had no idea it would lead to so many great things, to leading to a book, leading to a great partnership with huge organizations, leading into speaking, leading into meeting some amazing friends that I have in my life. All of that, just started with really one idea that I had about doing a podcast to try to really make sense of life after cancer. That's where I began. That's where it started. I had no idea what I was doing. Even what a podcast was, I was pretty clueless when I look back on things now. But I started. And it added all of these incredible things into my life that I could never have even imagined in a million years. I never could have imagined them unless I began. And that's what I'd love for you to do. My name is Joe Bakhmutsky. Hope has this been helpful to you in some way. Happy to have you here with me, and I'll see you next week. Ciao.